this video, we're going to see the solutions for the linear function review. So what is a linear function? Well, linear means a whole bunch of different things. Linear could mean that it's a straight line. Linear could also mean that it's the equation y equals mx plus b. And that does include the vertical lines and the horizontal lines, which are just equations that have just an x. That one's vertical. And if it has just a y, that's horizontal. It's also any table that have the same slopes between all of the points. So all of those words mean linear. As far as functions go, functions mean that the x's don't repeat. Also means that it passes the vertical line test. So in order for it to be a linear function, both things have to apply. So the first equation can be written in y equals mx plus b, which means that it will have a slope. It's not going to be horizontal or vertical. And so therefore, since it is a line that will have a slope to it, it will also pass the vertical line test. So that is a linear function. This is not linear because of the absolute value bars. So no matter what, if it's not linear, it can't be a linear function. This can't be linear because of the y squared. So even if it is a function, it's not linear, and we want it to be both linear and a function. You can't have your x in the denominator. That is not linear. So it can't be that one either. This one is in y equals mx plus b, and it will have a slope, which means that it'll pass the vertical line test, and it'll be a straight line. So those are the two answers. I want to go back to our little description here real fast, and I just want to point out that all of these linear characteristics, except for the vertical line, are functions, okay? So if it's linear, except for the vertical line, it's going to also be a function. All right, find the slope of the segment of AB and then segment BC. Are they the same? Why or why not? So here's A and B. So I'm going to first find the rise over the run for the points, for the points A to B. So it goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Always check to make sure they're counting by ones in case they're counting by something different. And then we're also counting by ones. So it went up 6. And then it goes to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4. That reduces to 3 over 2. Now let's find the slope of BC. So the rise, 1, 2, 3, and the run is 2. So they are exactly the same. So are they the same? The answer would be yes. Why or why not? And the reason is because the points on the line will always have the same slope. All right, let's look at number 3. Mike and Mark showed their bicycle travel rates in different ways. Mike's rate is shown by the graph. So here's Mike. And Mark wrote the equation y equals 12x. So let's just take that and write it over here. Y equals 12x to represent going y miles in x hours. Whose rate per hour was greater, Mike or Mark's, and by how much? So let's find Mike's rate. So rate is just another word for slope. So we're going to find rise over run. So let's pick 2 points that are perfect. That's a perfect point, and looks like that's a perfect point. So they are counting by 10. So 10, 20, 30, 40. And here we're counting by 1. So 1, 2, 3. And that does simplify to 13 1/3 miles per hour. Normally we leave it as an improper fraction, but because it's a word problem and I'm going to be comparing it, it's easier in its fraction reduced and improper or mixed number form. So what is the slope of Mark? Mark's slope is 12 miles per hour. So whose rate was faster? Obviously Mike's rate was faster, and by how much? 13 minus 12, 13 1/3 minus 12 is 1 1/3 mile per hour. So that would be by how much. Number 4, write a rule for finding the price in dollars P for the quantity Q in table. So rule is just a fancy way of saying y equals mx plus b. So first I'm going to find my m, y2 minus y1, over x2 minus x1. I'm going to pick any 2 points I want. I'm going to go with the first one. So that's the 0.56. I don't need to put the zeros. And then I'm going to use this one because then I don't have to worry about the decimal point. So I'm going to use 10 and 12. So I'm going to do 12 minus 6 over 10 minus 5. Remember, always subtract the y's on the top, and you have to subtract the x's in the same order. So that gives me 6 over 5. So then I'm going to use point slope, y minus y sub 1 equals m times the quantity of x minus x sub 1. And I'm just going to use this first point here. So this is x, this is y. So I'm going to put 6. My slope is 6 over 5 times the quantity of x minus 5. I'm going to distribute. So when I distribute, I get 6/5 x minus 6, because those will cancel out. Add 6 to both sides. So y is equal to, oh, those cancel also, 6 over 5x. But then I have to change it to P and Q. So let's see. P stands for the quantity, and that was my x, so I'm going to change that to a P. And my y is going to be Q for quantity, so I'm going to change that to a Q. So there's my equation, or I could, if it gave it to me in decimal form, I could F to D, that's 6 over 5. So there's my answer. So on your formula sheet, you do have the y equals mx plus b, you have the slope formula, and you do have point slope. So all of those formulas will be on your formula sheet. Number 5, does the graph represent a function? So in order to be a function, it has to pass the vertical line test, which means that when I hold my pencil straight up and down and I make lines, it can't touch in more than one spot. Well, this line here is going to touch in 2. It's going to touch in 2. It's going to touch in 2. Only touches 1 here, which is good, but doesn't matter. It's already failed. So it fails the vertical line test because it touches in more than one spot. So therefore, it is not a function, and the reason was because it fails the vertical line test. And you might have to describe it in more detail. On the PSSA, for example, you might have to say X fails at, so it failed here at 1, it failed here again at 2, it failed here at 3, and it even failed here at 7. So those are the places where it failed. Okay, number 6, the volume V of a cube is a function of edge length n. Use the rule to complete the table. So we're going to use this rule. So edge is n and volume is V. So I'm going to start by putting a 3 in the n spot in this formula. So V equals, I'm going to put 3 and then cube it. So V is equal to 27. And while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and do the 10 here. So I'm going to do V equals 10 cubed. So V equals 1,000. So to do these 2 points here, those go in the V spot. So I'm going to have to put them here instead. So 8 equals n to the third. So to solve for n, I'm going to have to do the cubed root. So for those of you that can't remember how to use your calculator for a cubed root, in your calculator, you would do 3 second function caret and then the 8. And that's going to give you a 2. So you work backwards if the number is given to you in this column here. So I'm going to put the 64 in the V spot equal to n to the third, and then I'm going to do the cubed root. So n is equal to 4. Okay, does the function set of ordered pairs, or does the following set of ordered pairs represent a function? So remember, a function, the x's can't repeat with different y's. So I'm just going to take a peek here and look. So I have a 3, a 2, a 4. I have 2 3's. So since I have two 3's, now I have to look at their y values. If the y values are the same, it would be fine. But since the y values are different, it fails at being a function. So it is not a function because the 3's repeat. And another way of saying that is when x is 3, y is 9 and 6, and that can't happen. And that's why it's not a function. Number 8, a box is moving along a conveyor belt at a constant speed. A camera, okay, that's a key word there. A camera captured one image, looks like a letter or words missing, of the box maybe, and then another image 12 seconds later. Oh yeah, it is a letter. So in those 12 seconds, the box moved 9 feet. What is the speed of the conveyor in feet per second? Sorry, so that was a little chopped up there. All right, so because they ask us, or they tell us about this speed here, and then they ask us for speed, that's a fancy word for rate, which also means slope, which is the letter m, which is the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to want to go with this method, so I need to come up with 2 points. The first point is 0, 0, because as the box is going across the conveyor belt, this would be its starting point, and then 12 seconds later, it moved 9 feet. So remember that time is always going to be our x value, and in this case, how many feet it moved is our y value. And I also know that because it says feet per second, which means that I need to subtract the feet first. So 9 minus 0, 9 minus 0, subtract your y's first, and then 12 minus 0 is 9 over 12, which reduces to 3/4. And usually in word problems, we do convert it to a decimal, so that would be 0.75 feet per second. Number 9, write a function to model a situation with a rate. There's that word rate, so we know rate is also slope, which is also the letter m. The rate of change is 7 kilometers per hour, and a starting value, that means that's our b value, of 12 kilometers. Let x represent the number of hours and y represent the number of kilometers. So y equals 7x plus 12.